started as most days do for me. I woke up, spent my morning procrastinating until I had a minute to spare to run to work. It was then I noticed my car. It had changed. I looked it over thoroughly and found that nothing had been added or subtracted. It had only changed. Somehow, overnight, my rear windshield had become rear windshields. Yes, that's right. From a singular to a plural in only one night's time. Now you may be wondering, as I was, how a rear windshield would go through such a transformation, perhaps by some form of rear windshield childbirth. A quick Google check will tell you that this is impossible. Rear windshields have no means of reproducing. They can only be made by the actions of a second party, and furthermore, can only be changed by the actions of a second party. So that leads me to my next question. What second party could and would produce such change? The rear windshield could have been convinced to pluralize due to the actions of, say, a bat, a similar object. This concept alone has one major flaw, and that is that bats and the like are much like rear windshields, in that their actions are based solely on the actions of other objects. However, if there were, say, an arm attached to that bat, which was then attached to a torso, and in a similar fashion was finally attached to a brain, and to reach the hypothesis one step further, the brain could have been under the effects of alcohol. All of these attached objects would be referred to from now on as the drunk or a drunk. If you follow the logic as I have, you would now be asking why the drunk would pluralize the rear windshield. Simply put, that is the function of the drunk. My rear windshield is not the first thing a drunk has pluralized, and it is my belief it should not be the last. In most cases, having more of something is good. However, here it is not. You see, once a rear windshield becomes pluralized, it is not easily made singular again. Do you remember that function we talked about earlier? The drunk is not the only object with function. Rear windshields also have function. 3 in fact. 1. Decrease wind resistance, and therefore improve speed and fuel consumption. 2. To protect the contents of the car from the elements. It should be noted, however, it is not effective against bats. 3. To prevent a car from looking like a piece of shit, and thereby preventing you from looking stupid and poor. It should be noted that rear windshields only provide partial protection from looking stupid and poor. I have managed to overcome this third function countless times. Once a rear windshield has become plural, it no longer performs any of these functions. This problematic situation does not end simply with my rear windshield no longer functioning. A whole new problem can be added on top. Due to function number 2 failing, now the inside of my car would be subject to strong winds if it were to travel at high speed. Such winds could very easily pick up and fling light objects out of my car. When a rear windshield pluralizes, it becomes small rear windshields. These rear windshields could be subject to the very wind they were intended to stop, and thus be flung out of my car onto other fully functional cars behind me. I will not go into all the detail, but you can see how this would be troublesome for my peers. The car's function is to travel at high speeds in order to get objects from one point to another, similar to how a drunk caused a bat to go from one point to another. Normally, I take no issue with this. It is unfortunate, however, that my rear windshield was a midway between those 2 points. As you can now see, my rear windshield's failure to function is my car's failure to function. So until my rear windshield is replaced anew, I've got a lot of mouths to feed.